Another major story we're following. It's an extraordinary one. This ominous and unexpected warning from the White House aimed at Syria. And I want to go straight to the Pentagon and NBC's Hans Nichols. Hans, what exactly can you tell us about this? We get this extraordinary warning about Syria, yet when I look at the president's Twitter handle this morning, he's all about tweeting fake news, promoting books of TV anchors. I'm so confused because a warning about Syria is massively disturbing.
It's an ominous warning. You're correct on that. Just in the last few minutes, Stephanie, we have some details here from the Pentagon that can flush that warning out that was delivered by Sean Spicer, the White House press secretary. And what Pentagon officials are telling us is that in the last 24 hours, the evidence that they saw, the intel that they saw, was more compelling. That's a quote from Captain Jeff Davis on the record, saying that they saw strongly suggestive evidence that Syria, the Assad regime, was potentially, I hedge, preparing for another chemical weapons attack. Now, this was at the same airfield that the U.S. struck with those 59 Tomahawk missiles on April the 7th. And the activity that they saw, which included aircraft, they wouldn't go as far as to say they saw these munitions being loaded onto the aircraft. But, Stephanie, this was in the same shelter that the U.S. hit, partially struck back on April 7th. This is a shelter where they think they store chemical munitions, not just sarin gas, a whole range of gas. And what they're saying here at the Pentagon this morning, I'll contrast that with what they said last night, but this morning they're saying they've seen this evidence, it's more compelling in the last 24 hours, and that this is the first time that they've really seen this kind of activity since the April 7th strike. Now, let me rewind 12 hours, Stephanie. When we first got this statement from the press secretary, no one that we normally talk to here at the Pentagon, elsewhere within defense agencies, had any sense that this was coming, and they were taken aback by it. This morning, they're providing a little more details on what they know and why they put out this warning. Stephanie?
Extraordinary, this fresh new reporting, a contrast to what we heard last night. On some level, can we construe this as political, why the White House would want to put this information out? Because if you remember, President Trump's reaction to Syria was a huge win for him that got bipartisan support across the board. And here we are at a very difficult moment with a possible vote on the health care bill that the president kind of seems to want to distance himself from. Is releasing this kind of information a political move?
Well, it's a huge deal to, mention a preemptive strike on Syria. He certainly is quite troubled right now domestically. The problem is who can differentiate what's political and what's a national security threat, because this White House has such a credibility gap. And this is the problem with a White House that flagrantly lies so frequently that we don't know when they are telling the truth and when we should be genuinely concerned.
This is wag the dog. I mean, I'm sorry, but the Pentagon, even last time when they shipped the 59 Tomahawk missiles, there was much more specificity. This seems really vague. They're not clear. They're saying they're preparing to think about possibly having a committee to release chemical weapons. We need more. So it screams wag the dog. It screams politics to me. It doesn't seem like a national security issue yet.
And today the president is screaming about fake news. All right, we got to take a break. Next,